Deep Dive, GTM API. In this lesson, we're going to cover the Google Tag Manager API. It actually gives you direct access to Google Tag Manager. And not only will you see the basics of the API, but you'll see how others are using it to develop their own tools. Let's take a look.
All right, it's a deep dive, the GTM API. The lesson objectives for today are just to get a little bit of API awareness and introduce you to some new Google Tag Manager tools, actually called GTM Tools. The journey so far, we just finished using cookies. We are now on the GTM API, and coming up, the wrap up and resources as we finish off the course. Right now, though, the GTM API. And we're going to start with that question. What's an API? What exactly is it for? I just want to let you know that this is available to you. The API itself is basically just a backdoor into Google Tag Manager where you can get a lot of stuff done if you so chose. Now, this is definitely something that you would only use if you have a ton of technical expertise and experience. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to give you a link to it as well so you can play around with it. But for example, I can go in and let's just do built-in variables here. With the API, I can create, delete, list, revert built-in variables. In terms of accounts, I can go into the accounts, and this is the different things that I can do with an account. I can get an account, I can list an account, I can update a particular account, and so forth and so on. So with all of the different tags and triggers, you can see I can do different things, right? I have the ability with the API to actually go through, bypass the existing user interface. That is this interface. I can bypass this interface and just get stuff done directly with the API. Now, again, does that mean you need to do this? Of course not. Not at all. But you should know that Tag Manager has an API available, and in particular that there are some tools that take advantage of it, including Simo's GTM Tools, which is really my secret reason for even having this section. I wanted to make sure that there was a nice way to introduce GTM Tools. GTM Tools actually takes advantage of the Google Tag Manager API. It was designed by Simo Ahava and is updated by Simo as well. So I'm going to show you exactly what this is, and then I'll let you play with it from there. The very first thing you're going to want to do, of course, is to sign in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And once you're signed in, you will be brought to the main screen here. So you've got welcome to GTM Tools. This is the main screen along with latest updates and releases. Now, how do we actually go about using this? Well, let's first go up to here in the upper left-hand corner. Now remember, this is using the API. So instead of this interface, instead of the Google Tag Manager interface, the traditional interface, I can click and I can see all the different accounts that this particular account has access to. I can do the same thing here. So you see GTM accounts. These are all the different accounts that this particular account has access to. I can click into the CXL account, the one that we've been using all of this time. And now I've got my container, the Measurement Marketing to IO demo container. So I'll go ahead and click into that and watch what is available now. This is where it starts to get really interesting of what Simo's done here. First, I'm going to click on Visualize. I think that's kind of the coolest one. We're going to start visualization. Look what this does. This actually shows you, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see it all. This actually shows you the different interconnections between the tags and triggers and variables. So you can see here, I've got my YouTube video start trigger and how that ties in all the way over here to our event for the YouTube video. That's also being used at these other things, pulling in the video title variables and the video current time variables. So you can see how everything is connected. It's kind of a really neat way to visualize and understand how all of the pieces and parts go together. And this is something that we've built through the Google Tag Manager Basics course, the original Google Tag Manager course here at CXL Institute. And now, of course, with our Google Tag Manager Intermediate, you can see what it all looks like. So coming through here, there's our gas variable, the Google Analytics settings variable, and you can see where it's pulling in details from and how it's connecting with everything. So it's really kind of a cool thing. I just like this concept of being able to visualize that. The other thing that you can do is you can clone a container. So clone a container into another account, kind of like the import export, but that allows you to do that. Workspaces, if you need to, you can go in, you can edit and mass update various workspaces that are available to you. Maybe you have a use case for this, maybe you don't. We move into inspect, we can actually see all of the tags, triggers, and variables that we've already set up in our container. And what's kind of cool about this is you can go through and selectively build out a new one. I'm adding these to cart here, and as you can see, there's a little cart item and it now says 5. If I click on that, I can actually clone it to a container. I can save the cart, create a new container, all sorts of fun stuff here. So What I wanted to make you aware of in this particular lesson was that, yes, Google Tag Manager has an API, but more importantly, what are others doing with that API, right? So yes, we have an API. It's a back way into the tool itself without having to use the traditional user interface. But who's using that API? Guys like Simo. And using GTM Tools is a fantastic thing to take a look at. That's what I really want you to focus on. So at this point, go find Google's guide to the GTM API. There's a link there for you. It'll at least get you familiar if that's your jam. If that's what you want to go through and learn more about because you are at that technical level, then I think absolutely is worth investigating. However, if you are not there, I think that's okay. Go to GTM Tools. And there's a couple of links here. One is the actual gtmtools.com. That is Simo's GTM Tools. You just connect your account, give it permission to access your container, and you can get all the fun stuff, some of which I was able to show you here. And then the user guide. So go through the user guide step at a time, and you'll find some additional details that we did not cover here today that, again, you might be able to use this tool for. And again, why are we able to use the tool? Because it uses the API, which ties it all together. So Simo's GTM Tools is the final step in our journey together as we finish out our deep dive here with Google Tag Manager. Your next steps, practice using GTM Tools. Get familiar with what's possible. It doesn't mean you're going to use this tool every single day, but be aware that it exists. It's kind of like those browser extensions you come across from time to time. Try them out. See if there's something that's going to be useful for you. See if GTM Tools is going to be something that's useful for you to help in your own implementations. If it's not, no big deal, but at least you know it is now a thing. And once we have that done, we are ready to move on.
There you have it. Deep Dive, GTM API. At this point, you should have a basic understanding of the Google Tag Manager API. And in addition, you also have some examples of some tools that others have created using the GTM API. Once you're ready, let's move on to wrap up and resources. See you there.